How's it going? Thought I'd give you a little bit of a test drive of some of the new stuff coming up on the ShredMentor Bandcamp later this week, possibly next week. Just depends on how long it takes to get all this mixed down. But I'm in blast beats mode. So looks like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like 13 or maybe 14 different blast beats coming very shortly. And as always, in a wide variety of speeds and also different styles, and each one being 10 minutes long so that you have uninterrupted practice. So if you are into extreme metal, you need this. So that's all there is to it. I'm going to jam out a little bit to the Sandoval Blast. It's kind of your, or no, actually rather a traditional blast, but it's got a quick gallop at the end. Like that. So that's a lot of fun, and what's nice about this one, it's actually got 30-second notes in it, so it works really nice. This is only 110 beats per minute, but it feels like it's flying. So really good for getting your speed up. There will of course be lower speeds. I'm kind of going with the sweet spot speeds for each one of these right now, so I'm at the beginning of, I got all these things sequenced out, but I am going to be putting them in the appropriate speed range so that you really get the, you know, the nice workable range for this kind of speed. So this beat will actually work really nicely even lower. Let's try it at, see what it's like at 90. So yeah, it changes the feel in a way. I'm finding at 90. So I might do this one at 5 beat per minute intervals or increments rather than instead of every 10 beats per minute. So even at 95, this is probably going to pick up a little bit. 2. So yeah, it seems like right about at 95, that one actually starts to kind of kick in and be the right speed. So yeah, that's a fun one. I'm sure it kind of has a little bit of a narrower range, really, because these are all sort of high energy kind of beats. So 95 is probably the entry level, because 100. Stuff like that. So yeah, that works really nice. I might just start it at 100 because it really is in the sweet spot at that point. And 120 is already kind of getting crazy. So I'll probably just do a few increments of this at every 5 beats per minute. Here's 120, and let's get at least more than a 2 count there, or a 2 count. pretty freaking crazy right at 120. So it's a pretty narrow range. 130 just might be crazy. Could do eighth notes at that point. Yeah, starting to get a little crazy at that point, so I might probably cut it off at 130 or even 125. So that's the Sandoval Blast, named after the drummer of Morbid Angel, because it's very much one of his things. You got the traditional Blast, which at this speed, which is still 130, it's going to seem a little slow. Alright, so it's a little tricky playing to this one because unless the cymbal is nice and loud, it's going to feel like the snare is where the emphasis is, and that's so. I always found this one especially challenging. So the click, just so you can hear where that would be. 2, 3, 4, 2. So stuff like that can help a little bit, but there will be no clicks involved in this one. So it's a matter of just kind of hearing how that count-in goes, counting off in proper metal fashion with the snare in this case. So it's a good one for a good challenge. This is 130, so it's a little bit more for the slower, true and cult black metal kind of style. The same exact beat, though, works great for really, really intense speeds. So that was 130. Let's try it like 190, because why not? See how that cymbal comes in the one weird kind of place. So again, your click here is 2, 3. So that works really nicely all the way from 130 all the way up to 190. So there's going to be a lot in terms of the traditional blast. There's also the inverse traditional blast, which is kind of the same thing, but basically the traditional blast is cymbal and kick at the same time, followed by snare. Back and forth. In this case, though, instead of the kick with the cymbal and then the snare, it's actually going to be the snare with the cymbal followed by the kick. Alright, so that gives us... In this case, the snare is the thing. I'm going to take the click back out of it. Alright, so that gives you a little bit more of an audible lead-in beat that you can follow. So it's a little bit easier to hear, but they're all really important to have. So I'm going to include all of them in the collection. I would love to hear whether, if this is something that you'd be into. I want to know whether this would be easier for you to find, just pick and choose one album that has just a couple of them on it for a really low price, or just have it all as one collection for a still pretty low price, but just everything in one, and you just get all the black metal beats and blast beats and whatever style you want to play of extreme metal. Comment in this video. I'd love to know what you would find more helpful, because I'm still putting it all together. It's still going to be the same tracks, but I'd love to know what how you'd like that kind of thing packaged. If you just want to pick and choose individual tracks, I could put it all on one album and just let you buy individual tracks as you need. Or if you just want the whole collection together, if you want little individual albums of each individual blast in multiple volumes, it's for you guys. So I'd love for you to give me your input. Let me know what really works for you. So that was the traditional blast. I'm going to bring the tempo back down because these are all 16th notes right now. I have a couple that are actually 16th note triplets though, or rather 16th note sextuplets. So I'm actually going to bring this back down around 120, and let's dig into some of those, the traditional blast done as 16th notes. Same idea as before, where it's kick and cymbal together, followed by a snare. But now it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. The click would be 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So that works really nicely as a triplet bass kind of beat as well. All right. Similarly, I also have the inverse traditional played as triplets as well, which gives you this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, So it gives you a pretty similar kind of thing. Again, it's a little bit easier to follow because the snare is a little bit brighter, and that's the thing you're counting in on. Snare with cymbal followed by a kick. 1, 2, 3. All right, so really good for sextuplet kind of vocabulary there. All right, also you've got your Unison or Hyper Blast, which is just simply cymbal, kick, and cymbal, snare, and kick. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely works a little bit better at higher speeds. This is 120, so it kind of. It could work, you know, it just depends on how you're going to approach this. This is basically 8th notes, so I need to play 16th notes. A little bit more of a death metal kind of style in this one. So, personally, I like this kind of thing a lot faster, though. So, if that works for you, if that sounds like the kind of beat that you'd want to play along to, let me know. It's a little bit slow, though, for me. Just deciding whether to include it or not, how low I should go. Because I think 150 is kind of around the point where people start to use this beat. Even that feels a little bit slow. Let's try 180. Because I think that was actually where I started to hear these things get used, roughly, you know, using my tap tempo app. Yeah, right on 180 seems to be the more exciting zone. Let's just see how high it should go. Maybe let's try 220. Yeah. Yeah, so 220 is especially fun. Because you're just doing straight 8th notes, so it's really good for being in unison with it and playing pretty tight metal type riffs. Gravity Blast. I'm going to bring this one down just 200 even. Just trying to find the sweet spot. Obviously there will be a bunch of different bunch of different ranges of speed on this one. Here's a 4 count on this one. Sort of your Unison Blast, 1, but then there's also the snare, 1, 2, 2. Actually, I know that would be crossed over. Anyway, I'm not a drummer. I just try to think and I'm going to program. Anyway, so yeah, we got a lot of pretty much every kind of blast that I was able to find, really, because you want to have every possible flavor to be able to practice along to, and some of them give a little bit more of a challenge than others. So in this case, you've got just 16th notes on the snare, and you've got on every 8th note the cymbal and a kick. Again, really good for that kind of thing. Gravity Blaster, especially very black metal, but really you could be doing kind of anything. So even though this is straight 16th notes, you could kind of do some syncopation type things like so kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You know, playing 3s over 2s in this kind of situation can work really well with that kind of thing too. You got your bomb blast. It's essentially like a traditional blast where you have kick and cymbal followed by snare, except on the during the snare there's also a kick too. So it's just 16th note kick where you're alternating between cymbal and snare. All right, so here's your bomb blast. More bass element to it. So, again, another challenging one because your snare tends to sound like an accent, but it's actually in between every accent. So really got to clutch onto that 4 count. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm trying to keep the cymbal as clear as possible along with the kick as you're coming in, just so that you can really hear where those accents are going to be. All right, so that is that's our bomb blast. Also got the inverse bomb blast. Now the bomb, when you hear bomb blast, it just means straight double bass through the whole thing. So what's really getting inverse now, rather than the cymbal followed by the snare, it's going to be the other way around. Snare, then the cymbal. This is one of the only ones that doesn't have the cymbal right on the lead beat. It's actually the cymbal coming in. Right now I've actually got this set up to do crashes on the one, and I'm doing hi-hat through it, but I actually have it set up where I can just mute some things and switch it over, and you would actually have the ride as well on these. So right now I'm just demoing this stuff with the hi-hats, but the inverse bomb blast will sound kind of like that, but you're going to be leading on the snare. 2, 3. So stuff like that can work really nicely, again, because it's a lot easier to hear where your main accent is. Unison Bomb Blast. Let me just double check that one again. That is snares and cymbals are on the leading beats, and you also have the double bass going. So it's kind of like Bomb Blast, but instead of having the snare on the ends of every beat, or on every second and fourth beat rather, you just have it right on the beat. So it's pretty much a unison blast, I think, which is also a hammer blast here. Sorry, I'm getting the names down here. Unison or hyper blast. Sorry, that's a mistake there. It's basically just that, which would be that, okay, but with double bass. you get a little bit more energy in there because your double bass is going at 16th notes. All right, there's another one that works really well at the higher paces. And you have a gravity bomb blast. Basically, you have 8th notes on the cymbals, and you have 16ths going on both the snare and the kick on this one. So really insane. It's the maximum wall of noise if that's what you're going for. I started with the Sandoval Blast. At this speed, it's crazy. Here's 200. I'm probably not even going to go anywhere close to this high. It's just ridiculous. It's pretty much not usable. So, here is the Diarrhea Blast. All right, it's basically triplet kicks. Also, kind of unusable at this speed. Okay, so I'm going to actually bring that back down so we can actually hear what that's supposed to sound like. Here's 120, just to kind of get it in a totally different range here. Yep. So it's a little bit more triplet friendly. It can be really intense though, especially with the really fast sounding triplets. You have a 16th note triplet, sextuplets going on there. It has a triplet feel though. Real fast. You know, really fast triplets kind of thing. Then you have the Dirk Blast, which is essentially the same thing, but you kind of have like almost kind of gravity blast thing going on with the snare. It's a really interesting thing where he's basically got the cymbal and snare doing a flam, and then doubling up 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it's basically this constantly switching every other 3 in order to give you the same thing that we just had in sync with the kick. Essentially giving you the gravity blast version of the Diarrhea Blast. I'm going by the name that Samus gave this. I don't know if it's called the Diarrhea Blast or if that was just his funny name, but that's the name it's going to get because I think it's appropriate. It really seems to fit. That's pretty much it. I do have some rolls that I'm going to throw in, but I've been leaving them out for now because really I just want to get these into their original form and have them play out a few times and get a feel for what it's like to play along to them, and then put the rolls in afterward because I want to make sure that the blast beats themselves flow nicely, and I'll have them change in cymbals because that's a really big part of making these things sound right as well, is having the cymbal change a bit too, because I really, as much as these are practice tools that are meant to be computer perfect, I want them to feel human for you so that you really have something that's a very musical device as your practice tool. That is one of the most important things, because metronomes, they work, but who the fuck wants to play one of them? It's not fun. It's not nearly as fun or as conducive to creativity as something like this. So, if you love metal, you need this. Let's just be honest here. You need this, and I'm going to give it to you. So that's the good news. So that's going to be coming up in the next, within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be mixing them down throughout this week. Each one, again, is going to be 10 minutes long. It takes quite a while to mix down stuff like that. So hang in there, but keep an eye on ShredMentor.bandcamp.com, and that will be coming up really soon. If you have any other things that you would really like to see coming from ShredMentor, just let me know. I always take requests and consider them, at least if it's something that, honestly, almost all the, probably about 90% of the practice tools, diagrams, backing tracks, whatever else I've made, have actually been for specific students, specific needs. So when I say I take requests, I really do, because it doesn't really do any good if this doesn't serve very specific needs. So whatever you really need for your practice, let me know. I would love to help you and create it specifically for you. That way it's definitely going to do the job. Anyway, this is just a little sneak peek for what's going to come up in the next 2 weeks at the ShredMentor Bandcamp. If you haven't already, hop over there at ShredMentor.bandcamp.com and take a look at the stuff that's already there. Do you know there's 10 albums up there already, as of right now? And depending on your feedback, really. It's going to be any number more, really. Depends on whether I put all this on one album or several. So I'd love to hear your feedback. Let me know. Be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube if this is where you're watching it as well, or if you're on Facebook, be sure to like ShredMentor Rock Guitar Academy. I'm Jason, and until next time, rock on, my friends.